Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. We are joined by very special guest, Kent Platte, the creator of the RAS score, the Relative Athlete score. Thank you for joining us tonight, Ken. How you doing?
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, sir. And the first thing I have to ask you, pertaining to the draft and everything that goes on, in your opinion, Ken, what is going to be the biggest surprise in the draft, either a fall or a reach?
So there's a couple of them, both on both of those fronts. Brevin Jordan is a guy that a lot of people were pegging as the second tight end off the board. They were saying he could go as high as the late first round. He tested really poorly at his pro day, though, and I'm thinking that we're going to see him fall because of that. We've never had a tight end drafted in the first round in 35 years. Never had a tight end that's been drafted in the first round that had below average metrics. They're generally not even close in the first round. And there's only a couple of examples of it happening on day two, most recently Irv Smith. So that's probably the most surprising faller I think we're going to see. And as far as testing is concerned, the injury stuff with Azeez Ojulari could probably be counted as a fall, but that's not related to anything that we really had much knowledge of until just recently. One guy I think has jumped a great deal in the draft is Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. A lot of people liked him coming into this draft class. He's a really good player on tape, and he's a good athlete on tape, but he didn't test like a good athlete. He tested like a phenomenal athlete. I think that really helped his stock. Baron Browning, I'm going to count Baron Browning only because, I knew he was going to test how Baron Browning tested. He's an insane athlete. And anybody that's around this area, I'm in Michigan. He went, of course, to OSU. Anybody that's watched a lot of Baron Browning, they knew this kind of testing was going to happen. They knew he was going to test like this. But nationally, that wasn't really the perception. So he went out of this pro day and put on a show, one of the best performances by a linebacker in the last 35 years. Wow. And all of a sudden, he's jumped right back up into that. Oh, maybe he sneaks into the first. He's probably still going to go in the second round, but he's been a riser. I think if people were sleeping on him a little bit until his pro day.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Jamin Davis is an excellent option for Washington at 19. If some of these guys are off the board, like I know a lot of people are saying Micah Parsons might fall. Micah Parsons is another person that I wanted to touch on. That Micah Parsons is just a freak. Of course, we all know he was a 5-star coming out. He was one of the biggest recruits that Penn State has gotten in a long time. He had some off the field issues, though. Do you think that his talent still outweighs those issues?
I tend to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to character issues. The Detroit Lions, I follow the Detroit Lions much more closely than other teams. They had a bit of a fiasco with Matt Patricia a couple of years back. Big black eye on the organization made them look pretty crappy. So it's a little bit tougher for me to really say it outweighs the risks. But from a pure athletic standpoint, there aren't a lot of linebackers that run in the 4.3 range. He put up a 4.36 at this pro day, which is the fastest time by any linebacker in the last 35 years. And I know a lot of people are saying those times are juiced and that we were getting all these crazy times. It really wasn't the case. We really didn't have any faster times than we have in a normal year. We just had so few players this year that we didn't get all those slower times to kind of balance out those averages and make everything look normal. But he ran a ridiculous time at his pro day, extremely explosive. He's a big linebacker. He's got all those athletic traits that you really want on a field.
Right. Exactly. And it's not a very first-round defensive-heavy draft. A lot of offensive players in the first round. Two of the top guys in the first round, defensive-wise, are Patrick Surtain from Alabama and J.C. Horn from South Carolina. Due to your metrics, which one of those guys tested better, and which do you think is a better prospect coming into the draft?
Yeah, so while technically one of those guys did test better, it's so close that it's really just splitting hairs at this point. Both those guys tested out phenomenally for cornerbacks. J.C. Horn ended up with a 9.99 out of 10, one of the highest testing athletes at corner ever. Fantastic testing from Horn. Surtain only came in at 9.96. He's right behind him. And it was almost entirely due to his 10-yard split. His get off was just a little bit slower. Everything else was just really, really good. You're talking about guys in the 90th plus percentile in almost every test. I think Surtain's rated a little bit higher. Once you start getting into that elite range with athletes, you're not really comparing which one is the better athlete or not, because you're looking at elite athletes, guys that can do everything on a football field. At that point, it's not a matter of who's the better athlete. It's about how that translates on the football field. And I think Surtain's rated a little bit higher by most folks. Probably the only defensive guy I think might really go inside the top 10. We've got such a great offensive class with 4 quarterbacks, potentially a 5th, that are going to go in the top 10, and like 11 offensive tackles that have a claim to possibly going in the first round. We'll probably see 5. We'll almost certainly see 5, maybe as many as 7 tackles in the first round.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to ask you, Kent, everyone talks about how these prospects, he's a first-round prospect, he's a second-round prospect. But one thing that gets overlooked and not talked about enough is the blue chip prospects, the ones that could come in right away and start for your football team. How many blue chips do you have in this draft?
So it depends on the position. For me, this offensive tackle class is the best that I've ever seen. And I've been covering the draft officially since 2013.
It's crazy after last year.
Right. Last year's class was really good.
I'm sorry if I froze. I was just asking how many blue chips you think are in the draft.
Yep. I got that bit.
Okay,
quarterbacks, I mean, there's a really good quarterback class too. You've got 4 guys that I think could start. I think probably 3 of those guys would qualify as blue chip prospects, which is, of course, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields for me, and then Zach Wilson. I love Trey Lance. He's probably just below that, but only barely. He's clearly a first-round prospect. Offensive tackles, man, you got Penny Sewell and Rashawn Slater. Those are your blue chip guys, and then a really long list of guys that are just really, really good, high upside prospects. Defensive-wise, I'm not sure that there is one. I don't really see any blue chip guys on defense. Maybe Caleb Farley, if he didn't have any of the injury issues. But his couple of back surgeries may push him all the way out of the first round. They're talking potentially the mid or early to mid 20s for Farley at this point, but that's mostly coming from his agent, who of course has a vested interest in him looking good and coming out as shiny as possible. But it's tough when you have your best defensive player. There's a medical concern there. But yeah, outside of the quarterbacks and the tackles, you got Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase, who I think are probably your blue chip wide receivers. Jalen Waddle could be, for me, it's another issue with medicals. Medicals are always a big concern for me. I tend to be a bit more conservative when it comes to those type of things as well. Jalen Waddle has some medical concerns that are gonna give some pause. But those are all the blue chip guys I can think of.
What about Kyle Pitts?
Yeah,
Pitts. God, I totally forgot about Pitts.
My apologies. About Pitts. My apologies. I've had internet problems before we started, so I thought maybe my question got messed up. I'm sorry.
No worries. Kyle Pitts is fantastic. Tight end is one of my favorite positions. Actually, it's my favorite position to evaluate. I love watching tight ends. Kyle Pitts is easily the best tight end prospect that I've seen. And that's saying a lot because we have a best tight end prospect almost every year, right?
Right.
Like every year we have
a couple years ago, TJ Hawkinson.
Hawkinson's probably the better overall tight end prospect.
Right.
If you were comparing the two between Pitts and Hawkinson, Hawkinson's probably the better overall tight end prospect because he's a significantly better blocker. But as far as a receiving threat at tight end, we haven't seen anybody like Kyle Pitts. I mean, he's not single-handedly, Tony kind of helped. But they made Kyle Trask look like a draftable prospect. And that's a huge, huge deal being able to make it look, because none of his passes were accurate. Pitts caught him anyway. They don't care.
Right. That's so funny. There's a scout that we know that said that he would take Trask almost any quarterback in this NFL in this draft. We're just, okay, if that's what you want to do. But you did touched on it. It's not a top heavy defensive class, but it is a very deep defensive class. Oh, yeah. I think that's pretty important because you don't get these top 10 guys, but there's some guys throughout these rounds. But change gears a little bit. San Francisco moved all the way up to number 3. Rumors are that Kyle Shanahan is comfortable taking 5 different players there. They did trade up with a guy in mind. Some rumors are he's feeling Mac Jones, but the scouting department saying Trey Lance. I think I know the answer here, but if you are San Fran, who did you trade up for?
It's not the first guy you mentioned.
Right.
I don't even have Mac Jones as a first round prospect. He's a decent quarterback. He's in that second tier of guys he can carry your franchise if you got everything around him. Right. If everything's already there. But he's not going to elevate a franchise. I think that they traded up with Justin Fields or Trey Lance in mind. I would have said Zach Wilson, but it seems like the Jets have kind of centered in on Wilson. But yeah, they traded up, I think, with Fields or Lance in mind, and it's sounding more and more like Lance is their guy, which may be a bit surprising for a lot of people that have really evaluated Lance, because he's not the most accurate passer in the world, to put it gently. He's a phenomenal runner, obviously a very, very good athlete, top-tier athlete, probably the best pure runner at quarterback outside of maybe Lamar and Kyler Murray. Fantastic as a runner. But as a passer, there's a lot of wrinkles there. But we've seen in recent years with specifically Josh Allen, but with a lot of other guys that have come in, that's teachable. That's something that you can get around. That's something you can work with. I think that San Francisco's trying to take that kind of approach, and I feel like Lance would be the guy.
Right. No, I'm sticking with the quarterbacks. A guy that we've been talking about a lot, and a guy that we like is Kellen Mond. I know a lot of people are kind of bullish on him and down on him. What do you think about Kellen Mond, and where do you think he's drafted in? What round he's drafted in?
Kellen Mond, I evaluate quarterbacks a little bit differently. So I have my first round guys, which is if you have a guy that you can build a franchise around, he's a first round pick. Doesn't matter where, he's just a first round pick, because he either is or he isn't. And if he is, you're taking him in the first round, right? Whether he's a developmental guy like Trey Lance or not, you're taking him in the first round. Your second day guys are guys that you think could develop into that or can at least start. They can at least start some games and you have no problem with them. I don't have Mond in either of those. I think Mond falls into that third tier, which is your developmental guys, the guys that could become a starter. Kellen Mond's highs are really high. Some of the throws that he's able to make with his arm talent are very impressive on the field. He's athletic enough to make a lot of plays. I think he ran a 4.62 at his pro day, which is good, really good for a quarterback. But man, his lows, his bad throws, and some of the decisions that he makes really have to be cleaned up. I think it's going to take some time to develop him into his career. So he kind of falls into that third tier. That said, this is a really weak quarterback class outside of the top four guys. It falls off a cliff really fast. So Mond's probably going to be one of those guys that gets pushed up into day two, just because of that, because it's such a weak quarterback class. Once you get past those top really good guys, it falls off quick.
Yeah. And now to wrap this up, Kent, I have a two-part question for you. The first one being, what are you doing at 19 for the Washington football team? Let's just say Darisal's off the board. The only thing there for the Washington football team is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Tevin Jenkins, Elijah Vera-Tucker, Jamin Davis is there as well. And then the second part to that question, Samus Reyes, can you kind of explain for the fan base why everyone nationally was freaking out about this signing and how his relative athlete score really showcases what his potential is?
Yeah, so it's tough because you named a lot of really good players there. This draft is really top heavy, and there's a lot of guys that are going to be there at 19 that Washington should be very comfortable in taking. Two of the guys that you mentioned that I think would really help transform the team is Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. The Redskins need the football team need a linebacker.
Did it on our show, so don't worry.
My internet just went out a little bit as you said that, so you can't tell.
All right. They need a linebacker. Davis is a fantastic linebacker. It's kind of surprising that you guys even look at. A lot of people have him ranked a little bit lower. I'm a lot higher on him than most folks are. I think 19 is totally fine. Great spot to take him. I think he's that middle of the defense guy that you can move around. And with the pass rush that your team already has, the guys up front, his job's going to be pretty easy. He's not going to have to worry a whole lot about having to cover guys for a long amounts of time. He's able to use his explosiveness to blow up those running lanes really quickly. Really sets him up really well for what's already built. And Tevin Jenkins on the offensive side of the ball. You know, the Washington has always had, but they used to have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. They were well known for it. And, you know, that's come and gone, right? But getting a guy with a real attitude that can really bring that mean aspect to an offensive line, that can be huge when you're trying to build an identity on offense. And if Washington's trying to do that, you could do a lot worse than a guy like Tevin Jenkins. He wants to hurt everyone. He goes out there trying to hurt people and trying to make their lives hell. And that's what you want when you're trying to build that offensive line outward and try to get that. You want an identity, a guy who's a real tone setter, right? You hear that term thrown around a lot. Right. Guy that sets the tone. Jenkins does that. He goes out there trying to put people in the dirt. And I think it inspires others around him to at least try to do that, because he's gonna, You may as well try to keep up with him.
And then for Samus Reyes, his relative athlete score.
Yeah, so Reyes a little bit older. He's from he's Chilean, right? He's from Chile. Yeah. He's coming in from the international program. He's a little bit of a different prospect. He doesn't have the football experience that you usually like to see, but he is a phenomenal athlete. The reason that's such a big deal is that you are either a phenomenal athlete at tight end, or you are probably not that good at the tight end. Tight end is the most athletic ability driven position in the NFL, more so than defensive end, more so than cornerback, more so than receiver. It's extremely athlete driven. And that's why you hear about a lot of these guys who are multi-sport athletes. They play basketball, they play other things. That's why it's such a big deal, because those guys tend to be the better athletes. And Washington's already seen a converted quarterback come in and do well on the team as a tight end. So they know that you can convert other guys into that position with a little bit of time and training. I wouldn't expect Reyes to come in and just be this superstar from day one. Tight ends who get drafted into the NFL don't do that. Kyle Pitts is going to have a hard time doing that just because it doesn't happen in the NFL generally. Usually year 2, year 3. But pulling in a guy with those kinds of athletic traits, and just for comparison, the athletic numbers we did get for Reyes would have been the #1 score for any tight end in the last 35 years.
Even over Vernon Davis.
Even over Vernon Davis.
Wow.
Over Jimmy Graham, over Cam Jordan. Or Jordan Cameron, sorry, Cam Jordan's the defensive end.
They did that on draft day too.
Yeah, over all those guys, he would have had a better score than all of those players. Wow. So it's not an unfounded excitement that he has those kinds of athletic traits. It's nuts. I just don't expect it day one. You're developing a guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Kent, I can't thank you enough for joining us. And that phenomenal mustache. I mean, that's just a work of art right there, sir. I can't thank you enough for coming on, creating some time for us, and being able to talk some draft football with us. I really appreciate it, Kent.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, sir. You have a good night.
Have a good one, man.
You as well.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with Kent Platte. That was awesome, dude.
Oh, dude, we all use RAS, the relative athletic score, so that's awesome. And by the way, if you could rank his mustache on that using that same scale, I would say it's about a 9.998. Like, that is a mustache.
Yeah, dude. That is a
such a great mustache because
it's fantastic. It's beautiful.
It is.
That is. Kyle, you alive?
Kyle's like so happy about it. He's just like stuck smiling.
Yeah, no, I am. Sorry,
I'm never gonna grow on that.
Just acting up. So, everyone, before we get into our final mock draft of this season, we are going to answer some fan questions for you guys, okay? And the first one we're going to go to is the Colonel. No one better than we go with the Colonel. His first question is, how does the acquisition of Eric Flowers change our draft outlook, Reed?
All right, just kissing the Pythons for good luck. It's interesting because I remember there were reports yesterday going around that if Elijah Vera Tucker is there at 19, Washington is going to take them. I don't know if that changed. I don't know how they view Elijah Vera Tucker. I think that this is more of an indication of Sheriff. I don't think that a guard was necessarily in play early. So this is a very tough question. I don't know how Washington's viewing any of this. All these guys that they're talking about acquiring or that they did acquire, like, they're all versatile. They can all play guard or tackle, and that's what they want to do. So I do think that they're probably going to go linebacker now in round 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do take an offensive tackle. It's so weird to me. Like, I don't know. I can't get inside their head and really see what they're going with this. It's a good thing, but I don't know what their deal is. I don't know what they're planning. Yeah,
for me personally, Colonel, I didn't think that this was something. I did think it had to do with the draft, because in a lot of the mocks that I've done, I've taken offensive linemen in the first or whatever have you, but I always like double up. I get a guard or something in the later rounds to mid to late rounds, like David Moore, possibly. But like with this move, that kind of takes that away, because now you have 2 veterans for your guard positions, not even including Sadiq Charles.
Or Schweitzer, who played fantastic last year.
Exactly. So what they're doing is they've basically built where their needs are. They've built a lot of depth at, and it's a lot better than it was a year ago. I'll tell you right now, I was really blown when Brandon Flowers left for Miami, because I knew what he did for our team in the running game. So now him bringing him back, I absolutely love the move, and I do think this does take away the ability of Washington selecting a second lineman in the draft. I do think they'll take one, but I don't think 2 will be taken at this point. What about you, Hall? Is Hall frozen now?
Oh no, it happened to Hall.
Yeah,
It happened to Hall.
It's infectious, isn't it? Now, let's
Hall,
go.
Hall, you there?
Yep, I'm back.
Okay, he's back.
All right, so what do you think about that?
Yeah, I love the move. It actually brings us back to 2019 that where literally everyone's back on the line. Moses, Sheriff, Rouye, now probably most likely Eric Flowers is going to step in. And the question mark once again goes back to left tackle. Who's going to play there? Who's going to step in? Are they going to be able to maintain throughout the season that position and keep a grasp on the starting role? But that being said, it definitely frees up them draft-wise and gives them some flexibility. Like you said, Kyle, it definitely filled a need as far as a lot of people had Elijah Vera Tucker. If he was on the board, they were going to take him, which obviously would have been setting up for the final departure of Brandon Scherff after this year. Then you have a plug-and-play guy to kind of replace him. But like you said, with that being said, now they have more depth there. They have they have another battle going on at the line, and I definitely think, like you said, it definitely frees them up to go linebacker, maybe possibly trade back, acquire some more picks. But I could definitely see them going linebacker at 19 now.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the next question is from Tony, franchise, or good friend Tony. Thank you, Tony. He wants to know, out of all the second-tier quarterbacks, which one would you want, Trask, Mond, Mills, or Newman? And I'll start with you, Hall.
I don't want Newman because I know has a lot of intrigue, a lot of promise, but just after I saw him at the Senior Bowl, I was just like, man. Yeah, I'd probably go between Davis Mills and Mond. I know there's a lot of interest between the two Martys and Ron Rivera and Davis Mills in the second round if he's there. You know, someone might Lamar Jackson him and creep up in the first round, pick 32, 31, get him in the back end. But I definitely see him there, being there second round. Maybe they might have to trade up to get him using one of the third round picks that we have. Mm-hmm. But if they have a lot of interest in him and Zampese sees him a guy that he can develop and maybe turn into a starter, then I would probably go with Davis Mills as being the more high-end guy for Washington.
Yeah, I agree with you to a point.
What about you, Reed?
Mills kind of has that ability with to go through his reads very quickly, right? But with Mond has that athletic ability to run upfield, to get the rushing touchdowns, to kind of add that other facet to the offense. And plus, he didn't have anyone else around him there at Texas A&M. Plus, given the fact that he's a 4-year starter, you know, that kind of adds to it. So if you're going to have a guy who you're going to bring in to progress and make into a starting quarterback, I think it's Mond, because Mond has the athletic ability. He just has those mental mistakes he has to fix up. Obviously his fundamentals, how he throws the ball, those kinds of things can be fixed. The intangibles, the leadership, the athletic ability, that is not something that can be taught, and that's what Kellen Mond possesses, in my personal opinion. So for me, it's Mond. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I obviously for me it's between Mond and Davis Mills, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards Mills. I think he's just more I understand I think his game translates a little bit better to the pros. With Mond, you see he does have that nice straight line speed, but he is a little bit stiff. He is still a little bit small, which kind of scares you. But on the flip side, Davis Mills actually has injury concerns. Mond hasn't been injured yet. So it's tough for me. I wouldn't be upset with either one, but I'm leaning a little bit more Davis Mills. I just think that his skill set and his game really translates a lot better, and I think him sitting for a year behind Fitz would be perfect, but I would not be upset with either one of them.
Yeah, I would not either. Now, Sean's question for us is chicken tender subs with mayo, lettuce, and cheese, or with buffalo sauce and ranch?
No idea what you just said.
Chicken tender subs with mayo, lettuce, and cheese, or with buffalo sauce and ranch for chicken tender subs. Well, which one would you rather have?
It depends on how I'm feeling. Right now, I'm in a very spicy mood. I'm in a buffalo mood. You know, I'll lean with the buffalo way, but I could eat chicken tenders on a sub in any way. You know, I'm basically a 5-year-old when it comes to subs. So,
yeah, I don't like ranch, to be perfectly honest. And I certainly don't like mayo. I'll tell you that right now. So if I'm gonna pick anything, it's the buffalo sauce.
You're barely even white.
Dude, I don't eat ketchup. I don't eat mustard, relish, none of that stuff, dude. I'm an
weird,
alien.
Dude.
I know I'm weird. Man. But for me, it's buffalo sauce,
like,
Sean. It's buffalo
screw
all day.
condiments.
Yeah.
What about you, Hall?
See, do you hear the way he's talking? He's definitely an alien.
What about you, Hall?
Barbecue sauce? I mean, jeez.
What about you, Hall? What are you thinking there? No?
See that? He's short-circuiting.
No, what about you, Hall?
Yeah, definitely buffalo and ranch. I love ranch. I'm not really like a big chicken and like cheese on a sandwich type of guy. I mean, I do like chicken and cheese, I guess, like tacos. That's cool. But
That's cool.
yeah, I'm not like a
It's cool.
not like a big like chicken and cheese guy on a sandwich. So got to go buffalo and ranch because I could probably drink a gallon of ranch if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could easily snort some buffalo sauce,
That's ridiculous. No, you can't.
Kyle.
Now, our next question is going to come
I
from
don't think he
the
approves.
HT We
Yeah,
Are
Kyle's short
podcast.
circuiting right now.
The HT We Are podcast
I
wants to
don't like condiments.
the HT We Are podcast wants to know, what is your best Washington football team / Redskins gift that you've ever gotten on your birthday?
Yes.
And I'll tell you right now, HTWR, the best gift I've gotten that's Washington football related on my birthday is probably the Trent Williams jersey that my mother-in-law gave me. Unfortunately, that was the same year that the year later he left. Never got to see him play in that jersey. But that being said, that was the best Washington football team gift I was ever given my birthday pertaining to Washington. What about you, Reed? Oh, looks like he's gone. What about you, Hall? And my internet, of course, is crapping out as always.
How can we even put this out?
It's fine. What about you
This
guys?
sounds
Did you
so
guys ever-
crazy.
Did you guys ever receive a gift?
What? What?
Did you guys ever receive a Washington football team gift? What's the best one?
We're gonna have to edit this.
What best
I don't
Washington
know.
football
I'm trying
team
to
gift?
think.
Well, one time it wasn't a gift, but one time I won a signed Jordan Reed jersey. That was cool from Pepsi, and it was cool because it was my name. I used to hang it up all the time, and it was signed by him. But that was pretty chill. That's the only one that came to the top of my head.
All right.
The only one I can really think off the top of my head is like Hard Times on a Sunday. It was my birthday one Sunday, so everyone was just buying me drinks. So I was getting pretty lit for free, and I'm pretty sure they won the game. Could be mistaken because can't really remember. I don't even remember who they really played, but I do remember cheering a lot, so it's probably a good thing.
Yeah. And our next question is from Wahoo Daddy is too. Have you all scouted Charles Snowden? I have not. I know Reed and
That's
Hall
right.
have. He's like a 6'6" linebacker. So what do you think about that, Reed? What did you think of Charles Snowden? What did you think of Charles Snowden? Oh, my goodness. Of course it is. Wait
You
a couple
can go
seconds.
read.
I don't know. What did he say? I heard Edward Snowden. I think Edward Snowden is a real American.
Oh, my goodness. Can you hear me now?
So have you scouted Charles Snowden?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Okay.
Can you guys
All right,
talk?
what about now? What?
Yeah.
All right. So surf and turf. What would you rather have, surf or turf, Reed?
I'm a big surf and turf. It's both of them, so I'll take both of them at the same time. I love surf and turf, but I'll go with turf. I'm a turf guy. I love a good steak, but it can always be complemented by some nice crab cakes or some shrimp.
What about you, Hall?
Well, when everyone's zigging, I like to zag, and I love me some scrimp, so I'll go surf.
No, me too. I'll go with surf all day. I'm a seafood mark, bro. All day long. That's what I'm rocking with. Now,
Hell yeah.
let's move on to our mock draft, our final mock of the season. And let's start.
3.0.
Yes, sir. And let's start this off with a banger. Yours truly. Haha. We're going Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville Jaguars. He makes the most sense. There was nobody else Urban Meyer was even thinking about. He brings the mobility to the offense. He brings the ability to be accurate and lead the team, and something Jacksonville has not had at the quarterback position since David Garrard, I would say. So, now, let's move on to the second overall pick in the draft. Who's it going to be?
Odds, we all know this. First two picks they're cemented. Oh, we feel they're cemented. But watch the Jets pull shocker and shock us all. But I'm not going that way. I'm going to go Zach Wilson. Obviously, Zach Wilson had one of the best pro days we've ever seen. I know for sure the best pro day that I can think of since Sam Bradford. Remember Sam Bradford had that pro day where like no ball hit the ground. Let's hope he doesn't end up like Sam Bradford. Zach Wilson, fantastic arm talent, but bit of a tool. Great looks, but he just looks like a tool. And he looks like a boy band member, and I don't know if I think the New York media will like it. Will the New York players? I don't know, but Zach Wilson.
Yes, and that's a great one. Now let's actually start this thing off. Nobody knows what San Francisco is going to do at number 3. So here's Hall. What is Kyle Shanahan going to do at number 3, Hall?
Well, I know that it's pretty much a lock that He is going with the guy that he wants. There's reports out there that the scouting department wants Trey Lance. He likes Mac Jones because Mac Jones is the most pro-ready guy. Now there's a lot of reports saying pretty much Kyle Shanahan put it out there that Jimmy G is not going to be on the roster come the end of this draft, most likely. A lot of speculation he goes back to New England. With that being said, Kyle Shanahan trying to save his job needs a guy that can step in from day one and be the starter. Going number 3 overall, Mac Jones, Alabama.
Ooh, Mac Jones with the first surprise of the draft going to the San Francisco 49ers. So now let's move on to the 4th overall pick, which is chosen by our fans and our friends down in Mexico. Let's hear what they have to say.
Hello, guys. With the 4th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida. The reason is very simple. He's probably the best player all around. He's a beast as a tight end. He's going to be a huge weapon for the offense. So it doesn't matter that Matt Ryan is not exactly the best quarterback in the league. He will be heavily benefited by having Pitts on his side. Bye. Hello, guys.
All right, everybody. Sorry to throw things for a ride here, but it looks like my Zoom just shut out on me. Sorry about that, guys. But we're going to get this up and running for you guys. So thank you so much to Asbestos and Mexico who just chose Kyle Pitts at number 4 overall, which is where he should go. We know it's still up in the air regarding the pick for number 4 because they could go, obviously they could go quarterback, they could go wide receiver, but we don't know exactly what they have in mind, right? So we have to kind of speculate on what they can do. Kyle Pitts should be that pick there at number 4. So let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals. What are the Bengals going to do at number 5? Are they going to call up Joe Burrow and his old buddy Jamar Chase from LSU, or are they going to go down the route what they should to protect Joe Burrow with somebody like Penei Sewell, who they should easily be taking to make sure that Joe Burrow is good and upright? He got injured last year. Obviously, it's not in the fault of the offensive line by any stretch, but at the same time, you have to imagine they have to protect him. But that doesn't matter, my friends. Number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals are going with Jamar Chase and adding another weapon to that arsenal for Joe Burrow. They need to. They have to. And that's Joe's boy. That's who they're going to go with. They're going with their boy, Jamar Chase, at number 5 to the Cincinnati Bengals. So I know that Reed and Hall aren't here yet because my Zoom decided to take a crap. So let's move on to the 6th overall pick, which is the Miami Dolphins for Mike Reed. What are they going to do there at 6? They're doing what the Cincinnati Bengals did not, and that is drafting Penei Sewell, getting a blocker for Tua Tagovailoa, who they have now kind of solidified themselves with. So maybe this means that Miami later down the draft is really going to go after defense or something along those lines, which would make a lot of sense in my opinion. But that's a good pick for the Miami Dolphins, getting Penei Sewell by Michael Reed. Perfect pick. Moving on to our next pick, which is the Detroit Lions. What is Dan Campbell going to do? What does Mike Hall think that the Lions are going to do at 7? They're taking who Washington wants so badly, and that is Micah Parsons, everybody. They select Micah Parsons at number 7, which is a shoe-in fit, in my opinion. Dan Campbell gets his guy that he can bite off kneecaps with, like he had said in his opening presser, which makes a lot of sense for the Detroit Lions, kind of establishing their dominance there on defense with Micah Parsons. Hall, I'm making your pick right now for the Lions, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Micah Parsons. Even though I think that the Lions are going to trade out of that spot and it'll probably be someone coming up to get Justin Fields right there, I do think if everything stays pat, it seems like Micah Parsons is a Dan Campbell type of guy. Maybe he bites kneecaps in his spare time. Who knows?
I just said that. That's hilarious.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So let's move on to our 8th pick in the draft, which is the Carolina Panthers. And Steven Johnson is picking it for us. Let's hear what Steven, who he has
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Steve here with the 8th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The Carolina Panthers select offensive tackle Rashawn Slater. Hail to the Washington football team.
Thank you so much, Steven, for those. And he just chose Rashawn Slater going to the Carolina Panthers at number 8. Thank you for your service, Steven, who is in the armed forces. I appreciate everything that you've done for us. You are the man, Steven. Now, moving on to the 9th pick. yours truly with the Denver Broncos at 9. What are they going to do here? They're going with Trey Lance. They're going to surprise everyone. I know everyone's talking about Denver doesn't need to go after a quarterback or anything like that. I totally believe they do. They go and get Trey Lance because think about it from Denver's aspect. They can have Drew Lock for the time being, and if he doesn't pan out, they have Trey Lance sitting there ready and waiting for him to bring in at any time. There is no rush to start him. It's a perfect situation for Trey Lance. Comes in with guys like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant all on his offense ready to go for him. He's gonna in the best possible place he could be to excel. So now let's move on to the 10th overall pick in the draft, which is the Dallas Cowboys with Michael Reed. What is Dallas doing, Reed?
Dallas is going to be taking a cornerback. This Dallas defense was terrible. They're going to be leaning Patrick Surtain. Look, both Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn both have the NFL fathers. They both have great heritage, but Patrick Surtain, the second, I think is the way Dallas is leading, like we just talked about with the RAS score. Him and J.C. Horn, they're neck and neck. It's really just a matter of who you prefer. I think Patrick Surtain is the bigger name, so I think that is the way that they will go.
And
Jerry Jones is a fame whore.
Yes, it's so true. Now let's stick inside of the NFC East, and we're going to have Hall pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. What are the Eagles doing at 12, Hall? Hall? So
sounds like he's getting operated on by you.
With the 12th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Waddle, the wide receiver from Alabama, which is what we did in our
making my picks.
I just told you to go like 4 times.
Well, I couldn't hear you. You were like
terrible internets.
So on my side, when we're recording, guys, it's not going to be disrupted because it's on my side, so we're still raw.
Yeah, we can't hear you though.
I know. So whenever I keep talking, making your pick, it's because you guys can't hear me anymore, and I'm just doing it. So Hall,
well, that's
why is Philly going at 12? I mean, all right, 11. Sorry.
God bless. They drafted Jalen Reagor last year, which was probably the wrong pick.
This is the Giants. My goodness.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Well, either way, it's they're going receiver from Alabama, Jalen Waddle. They're going to put as many weapons around Daniel Jones as possible to see if he can succeed or not. And if not, they're going to be in the quarterback market again next year. But I definitely think they add to the offense with Saquon Barkley coming back. They just signed Kenny Galladay. They still got Sterling Shepard. And with a guy like Jalen Waddle could definitely add to their offense and put them set up for the long run.
Yes. And sticking inside the NFC East, Matt Valdovinos, MV Scouting, is going to be making the pick for the Philadelphia Eagles at number 12. The real Eagles this time. Let's hear what he has to say.
What's up, Washington fans? MV Scouting here. With the 12th pick, the Eagles select Devontae Smith. He's the best playmaker on the board, Heisman Trophy winner. Good pick for them with Jalen Hurts going into that second year. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you, Matt. That was a fantastic choice from you. Look, man, you can't go wrong with D. Smith from Alabama, the Heisman winner, going to the Eagles. We've talked about many times that they need a wide receiver, and getting the Heisman winner is just shoe-in fit for them. They can't really go wrong at that point. I would love for them to go with Rashad Bateman over Deontay Smith, but, it is what it is. So, moving on
That's because Kyle hates it.
Yeah, it's true. Now, moving on to 13, which is the Los Angeles Chargers. What are they going to do? They're going to select Christian Darrisaw, the left tackle from Virginia Tech, solidifying the blind side for Justin Herbert. He's questionably like the top line left tackle in this draft. It makes a lot of sense for them to go and get some protection of Justin Herbert, solidifying that run game that they love to do so well. Christian Darrisaw to the Chargers makes a whole lot of sense. So let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings at 14 with Michael Reed. Where are they going?
The Minnesota Vikings are going to be going Elijah Vera Tucker. Look, they need to protect their quarterback, man. They need to be able to open up some running lanes for Dalvin Cook. They've got some nice weapons on that offense. They just really need to protect Kirk, who can be an accurate, good quarterback if given enough time. And Elijah Vera Tucker really gives them another versatile offensive tackle / guard. They took Ezra Cleveland last year, who was a hell of an athlete who played fantastic when he could come in. So this really gives them some versatility. I think Elijah Vera Tucker should start at tackle. I think that he can play offensive tackle. I think that he could be a very good offensive tackle in this league. However, if he's not, you just push him right inside and you can keep on moving. So they're going to go Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC.
And that makes a lot of sense. Their number one need per Draft Network is interior offensive line. And Elijah Vera Tucker would spell that immediately. Now let's go with Hall with the New England Patriots. What is Bill Belichick going to do at 15, Hall?
Well, the NFL world is going to be blown that they go from Tom Brady for 20 years to a down year with Cam Newton to a probably 9-10 win season next year with Cam Newton. But they draft their quarterback of the future for the next 20 plus years and get back to their dominance. They go Justin Fields, Ohio State quarterback. Again, I don't see him slipping all the way down to 15. I do see him getting picked at number 7 where the Lions are. Possibly the Patriots going up to get him at 7. Who knows? He might still end up on the Patriots. But I definitely see that no trades in this mock draft. Everything plays out how it plays out. I think that the Patriots go Justin Fields. And like I said, they solidify their quarterback for the next set of their dynasty runs.
The AFC East would be so pissed to hear that, to see Justin Fields go to New England. They'd be
the
so
whole
bitter.
NFL would be pissed.
Oh my goodness, no, for real. Now let's go to Al Bundy with the 16th overall pick. Our good friend on Twitter. Let's hear who he has the Arizona Cardinals selecting at 16.
With the 16th pick, Arizona Cardinals have to select the one and only J.C. Horn, a young man from a family of all wide receivers, stands alone as a good DB should on the island. He's an easy selection, desirable pick for any team. They need help at the position. They're looking to get cheaper and younger. I think it's an easiest no-brainer. There he is. He's a dog. With the 16.
All right, everybody, and we just heard from Al Bundy selecting for the Arizona Cardinals. He selected J.C. Horn, who is arguably probably the best corner in this draft, going to the Cardinals. They lose out Patrick Peterson going to the Vikings. They just retool the chest right there, dude. Going to get J.C. Horn lockdown corner. That is perfect for them, in my opinion. That is a great selection. Now, moving on to the 17th overall pick, which is the Las Vegas Raiders. They are going to stun everybody, just like they did a couple years ago by drafting Clelin Ferrell. The Raiders select Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle from Alabama. I know a lot of people talked about this guy.
Such a Raiders pick.
Yeah, he's overrated, blah, 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 doesn't matter. Mike Mayock loves his guys. John Gruden loves his guys. I would not be surprised to see Christian Barmore go in this spot where defensive tackle is a need for the Las Vegas Raiders. So now let's move on to our next pick, the 18th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins with their second selection in the first round. Michael Reed, what are they doing?
The Miami Dolphins, they need help all over. They're one of those teams, again, where it's like the last few years, they can fill up their team so nicely. They're going to go with a linebacker, and they're going to go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. Look, Miami's needed a linebacker for a couple of years, losing Kyle Van Noy, who was just a do-it-all linebacker. Really, it was a shock to me. I think he was one of their better defensive players last year in that front seven. So losing him, I know you're not getting the exact type of player with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but you're getting another versatile guy that you can use in so many ways. I think he'll fit in fantastic. And just imagine that pass coverage over there with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah being able to overshadow tight ends. With those corners, he can just do so much. I think that he'd be a fantastic fit.
Yes, and I know Washington fans would be kind of bitter to see that, but it is what it is. So now let's move on to the 19th overall pick for the Washington football team. Hall is making the pick, but we all brought our heads together. We looked at the board, saw who was available, and we made the pick. So Hall, with the 19th overall, what is the Washington football team going to do?
Cue my man Bob Marley. We jamming. Jamming with you. Jamin Davis from Kentucky, the fast riser that really came out of nowhere in this draft process over the last maybe month or so. He's really burst on the scene. I've been saying since this all season started that Ron Rivera needs to get a middle linebacker, his Luke Kuechly of this defense, his captain of the defense, his quarterback of the defense. And I think that Jamin Davis fits that bill 100%. Like we just had the guest on earlier.
Ken.
He was like, yeah, he's an athletic freak, tested out gym, phenomenal athlete, not even just a great athlete, phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
So, Jamin Davis at 19 would be a great pick.
Yeah, and I know, look, Everyone is talking about how that's
I
too
like
much of a
hesitated.
reach.
I thought effort.
There's too much of a reach for the Washington football team to take Jamin Davis at that point. Everyone is speculating and saying that how this player's a reach or whatnot. You don't know what the draft sheet is for the Washington football team when these other clubs, where they rank these prospects. Jamin Davis in that first round fits the bill. 102 tackles last season. He had a sack and a half. He had an interception and a touchdown last year. This dude can do it all, and he's a jack of all trades where each linebacker in his class kind of has their niche, either as a tackling, in the box guy, or like Zaven Collins, he's a coverage guy. Jamin Davis does it all. And having 11-foot broad jump, it's absolutely disgusting, running a 4.4 140. He's fast, and sitting at 6'4", 236 pounds. This is a big dude that is explosive, perfect fit for the Washington football team. Now let's move on to
him creeping behind this line. Shoo.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be disgusting. So now let's move on to the Bears pick at number 20, who Maddie Jane from the HTWR podcast is making the pick for us. Let's hear what she has to say.
Everyone, this is Maddie Crocker, co-host of the HTWR podcast, and it's no secret that the Chicago Bears need help in the secondary. Kyle Fuller was a cap casualty, and they signed Desmond Trufant in free agency, but I think they could still use a little bit of help. So, with the 20th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Farley, cornerback, Virginia Tech.
All right, everybody. So Caleb Farley goes number 20 overall to the Chicago Bears. So now moving on. Thank you, Maddie. I appreciate that. Now moving on to the 21st overall pick, we have the Indianapolis Colts. And what do I pick for them? They're getting Tevin Jenkins, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma State University, the mauler, the dude that loves to just pancake people left and right, crucial blocker, and he finishes his blocks by stuffing you into the ground and throwing you down there. Perfect recipe and counter to Quentin Nelson, who does the same exact thing, but this is the right tackle version of that. They just brought back another guy, Naheem Hines, to bring back to run the football. They're going to pound the football with Carson Wentz there. They go and get Tevin Jenkins at 21st overall. What about now, Reed? What are we doing for the Tennessee Titans at 22?
Tennessee Titans, they could go a variety of ways. I was leaning Tevin Jenkins ever since last year's first-round pick. Isaiah Wilson didn't work out in the NFL already. That's saying something. No, it's a shocker, I know. But they've lost so many people. You could go wide receiver here. You could go offensive tackle. I'm going to go cornerback. They ended up losing another first-round pick, Adoree Jackson. They ended up letting him go. They've lost really a lot of people. So I'm going to go with Greg Newsome, cornerback out of Northwestern. He's a talented guy. He's athletic. He's somebody who I really think that they could use on that defense. Cornerback is becoming a premier position in the NFL, or it already is. So I think that they could totally use a cornerback such as Greg Newsome.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to have to go rapid fire here. Hall, what is 23? What are the Jets doing with their second pick in the first round?
They steal the Pittsburgh Steelers prime target. They go Najee Harris to go behind Zach Wilson, get the running game going with him, and add some more weapons for this offense.
Yeah, and that is a great pick for them, in my personal opinion. Now let's move on to Damian, our dude, for the 24th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers. What is Pittsburgh going to do, Damian?
As a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, we obviously don't care about analytics, and we don't care if running backs aren't the way to go in the first round. So with that being said, we're going to select Travis Etienne, running back from Clemson, with the 24th pick in the NFL Draft. We need a dual threat running back and a home run threat, and that's something that Etienne's going to give us. We got a quarterback who's 70 years old and throws like 80 times a game, and he might throw 6 or 7 picks in a playoff game, so we need something different. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy Travis Etienne, and we're going to be riding him all the way to a division crown.
Thank you, Damian. And he selects Travis Etienne from the Clemson running back going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which makes a whole bunch of sense, guys. It makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, where else would you go in that scenario? Seriously. Now, moving on to the 25th overall pick in the draft. Who do I have? I have probably the 4th best wide receiver in this class for me personally. And I'm just going to be upfront with it. Elijah Moore going 25th overall, my guys. Elijah Moore going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're getting Trevor Lawrence, another weapon, and Elijah Moore fits the bill in every aspect possible. He's productive. He could create separation. He's a great blocker. He could run out of the backfield. He could take handoffs. Jacksonville Jaguars get a multi-gadget, their own version of Tyreek Hill with Elijah Moore, coupling him with Trevor Lawrence. I think that is a shoe-in fit right there. Now, with the next pick, 26th overall, Michael Reed. What are they doing?
The Cleveland Browns. I'm going to go with Zaven Collins, linebacker, because that's what their defense needs right now. They've got a fantastic defensive line. They've got a good secondary. And I think you're done talking, Kyle, so I'm just talking. Zaven Collins.
Yeah, you did it perfect, dude. You did it perfect.
Oh, hell yeah, I guess where you were.
And now with the 27th overall pick, let's go, or 28th, let's go to Hall. Hall, you frozen?
The Ravens are going to – nope, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
All right, with the Ravens – it's the Ravens, right?
Yes.
Yes, the Ravens are going to select they lost Matthew Judon to the Patriots. They need edge rushing help. They need to get this defense back to top-tier shape to go along with this, I guess, a little bit above average offense just because they dominate the run so much. They're going to go Kwity Paye, defensive end from Michigan. It's a guy that's probably the top two best edge rushers in this draft class, and I think he can come into the Ravens, be a day one starter, and possibly dominate the next alongside Calais Campbell.
Yeah, and that is a phenomenal pick right there. Now let's move on to Mark Baxter, reoccurring guest here and fan of the pod. Let's hear what he has at 28 to the New Orleans Saints.
What's up, fellas? With the 28th pick of the 2021 NFL Draft, New Orleans Saints select Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback, Florida State. He's a better tackling version of his dad. What else do I need to say? Dude's going to be a beast in the NFL.
All right, thank you so much, Mark Baxter. He picked Asante Samuel Jr. going to the New Orleans Saints. That's a great fit right there. Putting him up with Marcus Lattimore, that makes a lot of sense. Now the 29th pick, the Green Bay Packers. What are they going to do? Are they going to go Rashad Bateman? No, they are going Terrace Marshall, the wide receiver from LSU, coupling him with Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers, probably on the last leg of his career, juggling between jeopardy. They're finally going to get him some weapons, Aaron Rodgers, and getting him Terrace Marshall, the big, long-bodied speed threat and vertical threat down the field for the Green Bay Packers. It's a shoe-in, perfect fit for them. Terrace Marshall to the Green Bay Packers by far. Now let's move on to Reed. What are we doing at 30?
30, the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills can go a lot of ways. This is a bit of a luxury pick. Could they go wide receiver? Possibly. They want to get younger at the position. Could they go running back? They damn well could. They could go all sorts of ways. I'm going to have them go edge rusher. However, this defense needs a pass rush. I could really put this defense up over the top. They haven't had much of a pass rush in a while. They need that guy. That guy is Jalen Phillips from the University of Miami, one of the biggest freak athletes in this class. I mean, the dude is just a nut athlete. Another one of those guys who really could just end up being a steal this late in the draft. I think that he could really help put this defense over the top. I'm going Jalen Phillips, edge, Miami.
Perfect. Now let's move on to the 31st pick, which was traded away from the Chiefs to the Ravens for Orlando Brown. Hall, what are the Ravens doing with their second pick in the first round?
Well, I just mentioned how it was a little bit above average offense because they dominate the run so much, and Lamar Jackson is just a dog, obviously. But they added Sammy Watkins, who, when he's healthy, is pretty decent, but he can never stay healthy. So they got Hollywood Brown, the speed guy. I think they go Rashad Bateman, Kyle's guy. I think that they get that big body outside receiver that they desperately needed. They get the target for Lamar Jackson.
No, he didn't. You kept thinking he picked Trayvon Moore, Kyle.
Oh, yeah, my God, I did.
I don't know where you got that from.
Remember,
we literally just made that up and threw text. And I was just like, all right.
He said Moore, I was like, when? That was me. Remember, we're like, there's too many mics in this group chat.
I got mic'd.
But what a perfect draft from Baltimore, though. They get a starting edge rusher and a starting wide receiver.
Some day one guys can come and compete from day one and start from day one and contribute from day one. So
absolutely
A+ draft in the first round for the Ravens.
All right, let's go to Scott to finish this up.
For him, though, so.
Mock draft 3.0 from the Burgundy zone. Now, I've done all three of these. This time I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at pick 32. So with that pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Elijah Molden, cornerback from Washington. So he's a slot corner who can compete on day one. Probably a second round selection, but this is the last pick of the first, so he could sneak in there. Thanks very much, guys. Always repping.
Right, man.
And that wraps us up for this draft. Thank you so much to Scott. Thank you to Maddie Jane, to Damian, to Matt Valdivinos. Thank you to our Mexican guys down south. We appreciate all your help and everything that you've done for us and submitting to this, our mock draft, and our final one. All right, everybody, we will see you guys on Thursday. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
And we got T-2 days weather until the NFL draft.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody, we will see you guys. See you then. Washington football. Hey. What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.